Here's what a classic SpongeBob episode looks like in the USA. And here's what the same episode looks like in Iran. But just how many episodes of SpongeBob have been changed throughout the entire world? Well, today I'm going to be taking you on a whirlwind tour around the globe to find out. We'll be covering episodes that were slightly edited to those that were completely banned. To keep track, I'll be dishing out a point to a country or region wherever there's a change or ban to find out which part of the world has the heaviest censorship. Starting with an episode that rattled a few people in Europe and Asia, Your Shoes Untied. Might seem a little tame, but just have a look at what SpongeBob's watching on the TV here.
Gary! I was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
I'm not going crazy. He's clearly watching something spicy there, isn't he? Well, that's the intention anyway. Also, that anemone was clearly throwing it back. Hey, before you guys think I'm being weird, the Philippines and Russia agree with me. Not sure if that's a good thing, actually, but they had the dancing anemone pulled from the episode, so when we finally see the TV screen, SpongeBob is just watching football from the get-go, which, depending on who he roots for, might be just as embarrassing. One of the smaller cuts to an episode comes from the time SpongeBob and Patrick go to war over how easy it is to be a fry cook.
Holes! Holes!
Conehead!
Yellow!
Pink!
I'm gonna get a job as a fry cook and it'll be easy!
They're at the Fry Cook Games, and obviously the Krusty Krab wants to win, but Plankton lurks in the dark, wanting to snag the first place prize for his chum bucket. So he uses the rivalry between the ex-best friends to try and win the games for himself, which ends with an all-out brawl.
SpongeBob will be attempting a full banana fudge pop with 2 sticks. And now, absolute silence.
I don't know how they got so shredded. The problem with the episode is sort of related to Sponge and Pat's 12-packs, though, because they managed to squash their beef and become friends again. And sure, hooray, but if you're from a super conservative country, you can understand why someone would maybe not like seeing this.
Yeah, pal. Let's go home. Hey! Where you going?
Get back here and kill each other.
You're my best friend ever.
2 ripped dudes walking hand in hand in their underwear, confessing their love for each other. Safe to say, this episode was completely cut in the Middle East, with Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE being the most vocal about how it clashes with their culture. Believe it or not, this isn't the only time that SpongeBob and Patrick's relationship has caused controversy on the show. Like in the episode Rockabye Bivalve, when the pair stumble upon an abandoned baby clam and they decide to raise it as their own child. But now they've got to decide who's the mom and who's the dad.
Can be the mom, Patrick, because you never wear a shirt.
You're right. If I was a mom, this would be kinda shocking.
Even in so-called non-conservative countries, back in 2001, this raised eyebrows. I think that was the term that was used. It certainly wasn't banned or pulled, but there were a few complaints across the USA. But like the Fry Cook Games episode, it's the Middle East that really did not like this one. The mixing of gender roles is a clear no-no, and as a result, the episode got pulled. The fear of overexposing kids to homosexuality is a large portion of most of the episode bans/edits. But it's not only SpongeBob and Patrick who have caused episodes to be edited, so has Mr. Krabs. Most of us, when we think of Mr. K, might think of him as something like this.
What did you say, punk? Big, meaty claws! Well, these claws ain't for just attracting mates.
But in Season 10's Burst Your Bubble, we saw a whole new side to the Crabster.
Oh, hey there, boyo. Lovely day for a boat wash.
Who wears short shorts? Mr. Krabs, apparently. It's only meant to be a bit of fun. I guess the joke sorta is that this ultra-manly ex-sailor dude is now wearing soaking wet hot pants and rubbing his big crab back all over his boat. But a couple of countries failed to see the funny side of that. In both the Iran and Korean versions of the episode, we don't fully zoom in on Mr. Krabs. Instead, we stay in the wide shot, and when Mr. Krabs is getting busy, the episode cuts to SpongeBob staring at some unknown thing. I assume it wasn't actually from the episode, but used as filler, or the animators whipped up something real quick. Pretty much all the episodes I've shown you guys so far have been banned because of something visual, but let's take a look at an episode that got censored due to some dialogue. The episode in question this time is Gary Takes a Bath from Season 2, and as the title suggests, SpongeBob is really trying to get Gary clean.
Gary, there's a bomb strapped to my chest! It's gonna explode in 3 seconds unless you take a bath! please.
No matter what he does, his pet snail just won't get in the tub. But SpongeBob has an idea. He realizes that Gary's a big fan of pirate adventures, so sets up an adventure of his own.
Look what I found. It's an old pirate treasure map revealing the location of buried pirate treasure in this very house. Come on, boy, let's go get that treasure.
Of course, the buried treasure just happens to be hidden in the bathroom, and more specifically, the tub. But it's this moment coming up that got the show into some pretty hot water.
Why, no, Gary, this isn't the bathtub. It's treasure. Look, doubloons.
Yeah, SpongeBob basically made a joke about dropping the soap, and we all know what happens when you do that. But when I was a kid, I didn't know what the frick that meant. But obviously, the adults controlling what to show on TV in other countries did. Australia and New Zealand banned this episode before it could air, but did eventually lift the ban 8 whole years later because I guess they found a sense of humor or something. I don't know. Pretty strange joke for a kid's show, but then again, so is going on a panty raid. Which is exactly what happens in the next episode on our list, Midlife Crustation. And it's one of the more famous times that an episode was globally censored. You know, the one where Mr. Krabs is finally starting to feel his age and begins having a, well, midlife crisis.
What was I thinking? I ain't old, huh?
Don't worry, Pops. We're almost across the street.
He tries to do more and more youthful things to compensate for his age, but it just leaves him feeling more and more out of touch.
Hey, how's about I join you kids?
That's okay. You can keep it. Why do old people always have to ruin the fun?
Unlucky Eugene. Time comes to us all, but he has one last hope, I guess you could say, of reliving his youth, and that comes in the form of a party he hears SpongeBob and Patrick talking about.
We're young. We've got wheels. The world is our oyster. SpongeBob, you got something on your shoulder.
Hey, boys, hanging out?
Yes.
He convinces them to let him join in on the fun, but the fun isn't exactly what he thought it'd be, and sure, he ends up feeling younger, but at what cost?
I don't think Mr. Krabs wanted to feel like a toddler.
Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs? Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs? Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
He absolutely loses it at SpongeBob and Patrick because obviously they've made him feel stupid, but the boys lure him in one last time when Patrick mentions a panty raid.
I guess you're gonna miss the panty raid.
The what?
And this is where a lot of countries took issue. Having a panty raid scene in a kids' TV show pretty close to the edge, and it was clearly too far for most of the world. The scene was completely cut in the Middle East, with the Saudi Arabian kids channel MBC3 showing a heavily edited version of the episode. Same goes for Asia too, with Taiwan's Yo-Yo TV, which did the exact same thing. The episode has also been completely banned in Indonesia, first having an edited version airing, but since 2018, they've just banned it altogether. In countries like the US, parts of Europe, South America, and Australia, the episode isn't banned, but it might as well be. It's completely off limits for being shown on reruns, and in most of the countries I've just listed, it's been pulled from streaming services. I also don't know if it was made worse by the person they're rating panties off.
Finally came through for me, boys. I feel young again.
Eugene?
Mother?
What are you doing with my bloomers?
Yep, his own mother.
As much as this is pretty weird, it's still all done for laughs, which is far more than can be said for the episode Are You Happy Now? SpongeBob's a pretty happy guy, right? Like sometimes to the point of total exhaustion.
And what could be better than serving up smiles?
Being dead or anything else.
And as you can see, Squidward isn't. He may be grumpy, but apart from the usual spongy shenanigans, he's pretty happy with his life. Well, that changes in season 8 when he realizes he has no happy memories whatsoever.
Let me think. I guess I don't have a happiest memory. Oh, well.
The sudden realization that he's actually super sad hits Squidward hard, and he falls into a super depressed state. He takes time off work, he doesn't leave the house, and no one's heard from him in over 2 weeks. But when we see him, you'll soon realize why some countries didn't enjoy the theme of this episode.
I just can't seem to get happy. Well, that didn't help.
Yeah, that's as bad as it looks. A thinly veiled suicide joke. It was allowed to slide for a lot of the globe, but most of Asia had that scene removed. But oddly enough, in the actual edited version, SpongeBob still asks why he can smell burnt brownies, so they didn't do all that good of a job editing that out. If you didn't think that was on the nose enough, they managed to deliver another suicide joke like a minute later.
I can't seem to get happy.
Crazy! Let's just stop it right there. A clearly depressed Squidward brings a rickety stool and some rope into the frame before standing on it and tossing the rope to the ceiling. What the? It's a good thing there's a few more seconds to play.
Maybe this will help.
Yeah, it's not even like a silly mistake or anything. They 100% knew what they were doing there. Surprisingly, this was allowed to fly in the USA, Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, and South America, but Russia, Indonesia, and South Korea have removed the start of the clip and just left in the clam-clowning Squidward. We're not done yet with Mr. Tentacles, though. In fact, he's the star of the next 2 episodes on our list. But, you know, one at a time and all that. The Mandela effect has swept the internet in the last half-decade. You know, the idea of thinking a thing is one certain way all your life, but then realizing you've made it all up and it's been this different thing the entire time. A famous one being in Star Wars where Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father," or something like that, but most people think he says, "Luke, I am your father." Well, this next episode of SpongeBob started igniting the internet because pretty much everyone remembered a scene that's not in it. The episode in question is called Just One Bite, and it centers around Squidward's new obsession with Krabby Patties.
I gotta have more. I gotta have more.
So yeah, the squid now loves Krabby Patties, but because he's lied to SpongeBob for so long that he hates them, he can't just outright go and buy one or have him make one. So instead, he sneaks into the Krusty K in the middle of the night to get some, and this is the scene people misremember. So tell me, is this what you think normally happens if you've watched this episode before? Here's a snippet from the episode as it'll air today.
There it is.
Anyone think that felt a bit empty? Well, that's because the episode originally had this scene in.
Hey, this isn't water. This is gas.
This scene was included in the episode for like a month or two, and during a few reruns as well, which is why a few people, myself included, remember the scene. But after some serious backlash, Nickelodeon pulled the scene from the episode of the USA, and literally every other country followed suit. In fact, the only countries not to change this episode are Canada, South Korea, Serbia, and Bulgaria. So actually, this wasn't a Mandela effect after all. We were right all along. As famous as this episode has gotten over the last few years because of the mistake, it pales in comparison to the subject of the next episode we'll be covering, Red Mist Squidward. The actual name of the episode is SpongeBob in Random Land, where SpongeBob and Squidward are tasked with delivering a meal from the Krusty Krab to someone who lives in the land that is random.
Well, here we are in Random Land. Sure is for that.
And the place is as crazy as you'd imagine. Think of the old SpongeBob episode Rock Bottom, but on steroids. During one of these fever dream-like sequences, Squidward has to try and find the right door that'll lead them to the hungry customer. But when he opens one of the doors, it reveals something a lot darker. By the way, jump scare warning. That terrifying thing right there is Red Mist Squidward. Well, a nod to it, anyway. Back in the day, around the same time Slenderman was a big deal, a creepypasta was written about Squidward in which he becomes violent, demented, and suicidal thanks to SpongeBob and Patrick. So, kind of like the last episode we talked about. I mean, of course, this was obviously nothing more than a myth and nothing to do with the actual show, but considering just how graphic some of the material around Red Mist Squidward is, it's actually shocking that they'd even acknowledge its existence at all. And hey, don't get me wrong, the fans loved it, myself included. I thought that was frickin' awesome. But as soon as Nickelodeon and other cable companies from around the world realized what the writers were referencing, oh yeah, they pulled the plug on that fricker instantaneously, till it was purged altogether. But what the animators replaced it with was maybe even worse. And that's the way the episode now looks everywhere in the world. Kinda crazy how something so stupid that was written by someone trying to scare kids has become a literal canon now. It's only natural that a show as wild as SpongeBob is gonna be edited here and there. But honestly, I didn't expect it to be that censored. But I guess the question you're all wanting me to answer now is, which region had the strictest of censors? Well, that crown easily goes to Asia and the Middle East, who tie at the top with 7 points across 6 different episodes. That's all the censorship we got in store for you today, but if you want to check out some more top-notch cartoon content, then be sure to click the video popping up on screen right about now. Thanks for watching.